Hi guys, it's me, Leah. I'm back after taking a whole year off. I mean, what was even 2020? I'm back though, and I'm excited to be doing my first video back. If you see me looking off to the side, I do have like a little viewfinder setup thing, but it's down below. Anyways, I'll try really hard to not look at that. I'll try and focus on the camera, but yeah, so 2020 was rough, but I'm happy to be back. Today's video, I will be doing kind of like a palette update collection, an eyeshadow palette collection update. I haven't done a palette collection on YouTube before. I've done it on my old Facebook account, but I thought after 2020, I bought a lot of palettes during that time, and I thought that I could kind of like walk my followers on YouTube through what I have. I will not be swatching everything, that would take forever, and yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. First things first, I need to get a little makeup eraser so that if I do swatch something, I can take it off really quickly. Now a lot of these are older palettes. Not everything is older, but a lot of it is. And just so you know, nobody needs this much makeup. Never feel pressure that you need to have this much makeup. This is just a hobby, and this is just something that I love to do. And I've been blessed in my life to be financially able to buy a lot of makeup. So yeah. Okay, so I have a bunch of palettes laid out in front of me, and I'm gonna start with these. But yeah. So the first things first, I have the Violet Voss, the Rainbow Eyeshadow Palette. It looks like this. I don't use it a ton, but if I need a shimmery pop of color, this is one that I'll reach for. I bought this one, I believe, during 2020. This is the Besame Cosmetics Sleeping Beauty Palette. I haven't had a chance to use this, but I do just want to show you the packaging really quick. Look at how stunning. It tells you, when Besame does these Disney collections, they like to pull the color straight from the actual movie. So they'll tell you exactly where each colors come from the movie. And then yeah, so I think it is so beautiful. I'm definitely gonna have to dip into this very soon. If you don't know me, I'm a huge Disney lover, so this is really exciting for me to own. But yeah, so I'll have to dive into that soon, and I'm excited to do so. The next palette that we will dive into is the Too Faced Honey palette. This is one of their smaller palettes. Let me just zoom you in for these smaller ones really quick. Okay. This is one that I actually really loved, just for a quick and easy neutral moment. And alongside that, I also have the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. And I also really liked this one. I don't really use those ones anymore, but I do like them, and I still think that they're great. Let's see. I also have this Tartelette in Bloom palette. I take this one anytime that I travel anywhere. I think this is the perfect travel palette. It's my go-to palette when I travel. I also have the Too Faced Just Peachy Matte. This, a long time ago, was one of my favorites. Last time I used it, I was really happy with the look that I got. Next up, I have the Too Faced White Peach palette. And as you can see, it's very different from the original Peachy Mattes. This is not all matte, and it's much cooler toned. I'm not even sure if you can get these anymore, but I think they're good. So if you do come across them, it might be worth it to pick up. The next one that I have is the Too Faced Icy Betch palette. And I'm not gonna lie, this palette is actually really good. However, I'm really disappointed in this at the same time. I remember seeing this when Tarte released it as an April Fool's joke, and everybody was like freaking out. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, that palette is so stunning, you know, whatever. It had looked a lot like the layout of the Tartelette in Bloom palette. And then they're like, haha, it's just a joke. And everybody was like, what? You have to do it. So then Tarte brought this out, and everybody was like, that's not at all what you guys had teased, you know, or even not even remotely at all the same palette. So it's a good palette, but it's not at all what I was hoping that it would be. Okay, the next one that I have is the KVD, at the time it was Kat Von D, the Metal Matte palette. And if you flip it, it says matte this way, metal this way. This is a huge palette. On the top, all these circle pans along the top, those are the Metal Crush formula, and the ones on the bottom are all matte shadows. And I think that this palette still holds up, and it's good quality. It's one of my favorite palettes. Yeah, I used this a lot when I first got it. I still dive into it every once in a while now. Yeah. You cannot get this one anymore, but if you ever come across it or you see somebody selling it, I think it's worth it to pick it up. Okay, the next one is another Besame. So this is the Besame Mermaid Lagoon palette, and this was in collaboration with Disney, and it's from Peter Pan. You've got 4 mattes and 4 shimmers, and I have used this one, I believe, once, and I was happy with the look, but I just haven't used it. I mean, I'm telling you, in 2020 I did my makeup maybe twice, 3 times. That's it. So I have not really gotten to play a ton with a lot of makeup. Let me just swatch a couple shades. Here's the green one from that bottom row. I don't know, can we see? Can we kind of see? And then here's the white one. It has, I don't know if it'll pick it up on camera, but it has kind of a blue reflect to it, a bluey purple reflect. Let me try and zoom you in. Can we see that a little better maybe? Okay, the next palette I'm going to show you is my most expensive palette. This is a Natasha Denona palette. It is my favorite palette because it's all purples, and purples are my favorite. I mean, I'm wearing purple on my eyes right now. Purple is my favorite. Yeah. So this is the Natasha Denona Lila palette. And isn't she just so stunning, guys? Oh my gosh. I seriously love this palette so much. Let me swatch a shade. So I've got 2 shades right here. I'm just gonna swipe them down my hand one time. Oh my gosh. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my god. Next up I have the Lunatic Cosmetics Labs, the Elvira palette. It looks like this. It is an all matte palette. Oh wait, hold on. Just kidding. It's not an all matte palette, but there's some like slightly shimmery shades. Can we talk about the color selection? Yes, please. I love this. This is so cute. And the fact that I can take this and use it as a shadow or blush. Oh my gosh, everything. Everything. We love multi-purpose here. Okay, next up I have the Urban Decay Moondust palette. And it looks like this. Now this is a more sheer formula, but very glittery. So if you like glitter, you might like this. And these are really just topper shades. They're not meant to be super opaque or anything. They're just meant to be put on top of shades. I like this palette. I know a lot of people don't. I think it's good when used as intended, as like a topper shade. The next palette that I'm going to show you is the Urban Decay Electric palette. This has been discontinued for a long time, and I know that they had come out with a palette to replace this, but I didn't buy it. I didn't hear good things about it, and this is just kind of like my go-to like super vivid neon palette. I think this is a fantastic palette, and I will probably never get rid of this. I mean, I'll probably be buried in these colors when I die. I'm not even joking. Like, they're so stunning. Okay, the next palette I'm going to show you is the Too Faced Gingerbread palette. This is the original one. I know they came out with like an extra spicy version of it. It's a pretty good palette. Now, I believe I had an allergic reaction to this palette, probably just from like the fragrance in it. If you don't know, a lot of Too Faced palettes are scented. So I'll have to try it again and see. I only used it the one time. And see if that's what caused my allergic reaction. But I hope not, because this is such a beautiful palette and right up my alley. The warm golds, purples, oranges, perfect for fall. So I guess, I hope this isn't what I'm allergic to. That would suck. Next up, a cult classic, the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. The quality of this, it's good. I mean, it's okay. It's not it's not as good as it was hyped up to be. And I mean, I do love this palette for a soft little neutral moment, but there are so many better formulas out nowadays that this just doesn't compare. It's a good palette, but it's just not the greatest. So don't be going out of your way to get this. There's better options out there. I used to have the Too Faced Semi-Sweet palette and the Too Faced Original Chocolate Bar palette, but I recently got rid of those. But this is the chocolate gold. The packaging is super shiny and I will blind you with it, but this is a almost all shimmer formula, or all shimmer palette, and I believe 3 mattes. No, 4 mattes. So this is a matte, this is a matte, this is a matte, and this one's a matte. But all the rest are shimmers. And the shimmers are really good in this palette. So I enjoy that palette too. I know I have the unpopular opinion of a lot of people, but I don't care. I'm just gonna voice my honest opinion on things. And if you don't like it, that's okay. We can have different tastes. Everything's fine. This is the Too Faced White Chocolate Bar palette. This is really probably only for fair skin. I can't see anybody who doesn't have fair skin being able to use this palette. I know that they don't make it anymore. I believe it was a holiday release, but it's a good palette. You know, but it's not the greatest thing. Okay, next up are my Naked palettes. So this is my Urban Decay Original Naked palette. And it looks like this. I know that if you've ever watched a beauty channel on YouTube, you've seen this palette 100 times. It's nothing spectacular, just a neutral palette. If you or someone you know are just getting into makeup, there are better neutral palettes out there, but that was a classic that everybody had. It was like the holy grail palette of everybody, it seemed like. The next one that I have is the Naked Smoky. And this is what it looks like. Again, another neutral palette. This one is cool toned though. And obviously very, very smoky. And it's just okay. This one is not my favorite, but it's okay. It'll get the job done, but there are better out there. This is the Naked Cherry, and this one is one of my favorites of the Naked palettes. I love a good berry maroon moment. I really like this one. I also have the Naked Heat palette, which is like a red toned Naked palette. Now to me, Naked palettes are kind of like, I know a lot of people don't like them. To me, they're like maybe for beginners who just kind of like want to dip their toes in the makeup world, and are maybe want to experiment with a little bit of color but are unsure or intimidated by a lot of bright colors. To me, these are a way to just like get your toes wet, just test the waters, and are easy for beginners to use. That's not to say I don't enjoy them, but yeah. This one is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. This one is killer. This one is so good. If you're gonna get any of them, I highly recommend this one. And the last Naked palette that I have is the Naked Reloaded. I believe this came along to replace the original Naked palette. And I know a lot of people didn't like this, but I actually really like this palette. I took it and I did my cousin's makeup for prom with this, and her makeup turned out so beautiful. The next one is the Kat Von D. It's not Kat Von D anymore, but it was at the time. Better Together palette. There used to be another heart here. And it was two-faced. So this is the Kat Von D side of the palette. This light is so bright and I feel like it's really just washing out the color. I got rid of the Too-Faced side because I thought it was just trash. I did not think that was Too Faced's best work. The next palette I have is the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette. I actually found this at a TJ Maxx or a Nordstrom rack. And I had to have it. And I don't know if you can tell, I mean on camera a lot of these shades look exactly the same. And in person, I mean I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty similar. But I've used this palette a ton. I really enjoy this palette. Anytime that I'm gonna do a quick neutral moment, and I need like just a pop of color, I reach for this palette. And it is so beautiful on my skin tone personally, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I really like it. So next I'm going to cover some of my Glamlight palettes. This isn't all of them, but it is a lot of them. I just happen to have them all stacked up right here. Okay, this is the Glamlight Miracle palette, and I believe that a portion of the proceeds went to breast cancer research. I might be wrong, but I believe that that's what it was. I don't think you can get this anymore, but it is a really beautiful palette. This is one of the first palettes I think that Glamlight ever did. I also have the Glamlight Royalty palette, and this one is stunning. There is a pressed glitter here, and I am a huge glitter lover. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Glitter is not intended for use around the eyes. It is not eye safe, so use it at your own risk around the eyes. With that being said, this is not one of my favorite pressed glitters. It's okay. It'll get the job done, but it's not my favorite. The rest of the palette, however, is so beautiful. And color-wise, right up my alley. Just exactly what I like. The next palette that I have from Glamlight is the Masterpiece palette. It looks like this. It is a really beautiful red and orange palette with some cool tone browns. I'll swatch a couple shades. Something that I just want to say about Glamlight is their shimmer formula is really good. Their mattes, in my opinion, are not my personal favorite, but they're really good too. And I feel like every palette that they bring out, the formula gets better and better. So I know that Giselle, I believe is the owner's name, she's working really, really hard on all the collections that she puts out in palettes. So that is a few swatches. Let me see. Don't I have... I thought I had... Yes, here we go. I don't have a... I don't want to keep messing with my light, so I'm going to try and... There we go. That's a little better. Maybe not. There we go. That middle shade, you can kind of see just how sparkly it is. Absolutely stunning. Sorry, I keep looking down because I'm trying to make sure my battery doesn't die on me, because that would suck. Okay. The next ones that I'm going to show you from Glamlight are the Glamlight Pizza palettes. So this is the Veggie Lover Pizza Slice palette. Lots of greens, just like veggies. And the Meat Lovers Pizza Slice one. Lots of purples and reds. And I also have the full original pizza palette, and this thing is a monster. I mean, like, look at it next to my head, and I have a fat head. Okay, this is no joke. This palette is a beast. This is what it looks like. Did you hear the motor? Did you hear the motorcycle that's still going? Yeah, that's like every day, multiple times a day. Anyways, this is the original pizza palette. This is the one that really made Glamlight take off, make the brand like take off. This is one of my favorite palettes, and I will say every time that a friend has come over to do their makeup with me, they always want to use this palette. So this palette gets so much love, not just from me, but from my friends as well. And rightfully so. It is a stunning palette. Okay. I have a few more that I'm going to run through really quick, and then I will change my battery out and move all of these palettes out of the way, and so I can get some more out. Next one I have is the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. You can probably maybe tell this one has been loved a little bit. It's a good palette. I like this. I think it's one of Morphe's better palettes. I know that they changed the formula, so now it's not vegan, but this was from not the first launch, but I believe the first restock of it. So this is the original quality of the palette, and this is the vegan formula. This is the Morphe 35O palette. This one was, everybody went crazy over this palette when it launched, but it's really just a neutral palette with 2 rows of warm oranges. Nothing different from Morphe than what Morphe does best, neutral palettes. So if you're looking for affordable neutral palettes, Morphe is a good place to look. This one is the 3502 palette, and I actually like this one better than the 35O. It just, in my opinion, is a lot more pigmented and better quality than the original 35O. This is the, did I say 35O or 3502? This is the 3502 palette. But yeah, I actually enjoy this one. Next up on my list of palettes to share is the Violet Voss Flamingo palette. Look at how freaking cute this packaging is. Oh my gosh. This is such a fun spring and summer palette. I don't think that this got enough hype when it first came out. I think it's a beautiful palette, and I really enjoy using this. Every time I do a look with this palette, I'm always pleased with what I create. I don't think that this is available anymore, unfortunately, but I really do truly love this palette so much. This is the KVD Kat Von D. This was when she was still owner of the brand. The Saint and Sinner palette. I know a lot of people did not like this palette. They thought it felt really jumbled and pointless and whatever negative thing that they had to say, but I really enjoyed her formula. I thought this was a good palette. I thought this inspired me to be creative. I really love this palette. I haven't used it a lot recently, but every time I open it, it makes me want to use it again and break it out again. So maybe I will use this in a future video. The next few palettes I'm going to show you are the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill The Vault collection. I'll just go over these briefly. This one is Bling Boss, the purple one. This one is Dark Magic, the deeper greeny blue one. This one is Ring the Alarm, the reddy orangey one. And then this one is Armed and Gorgeous, which is this one. I think they're all beautiful. I don't think that the quality is perfect. I think that there's a lot to... Hold on, sorry. I don't think that those palettes are perfect. I think that there's a lot to improve upon, but the versions that I have, the quality of the ones that I have are fine. They're just not perfect. Next up, I have the Lorac Pro 4 Mega Pro 4 palette. It looks like this. The Lorac Mega Pro palettes used to be all the rage. This is number 4. I think it's beautiful. It's pretty neutral. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's a few pops of blue and a pop of green, but it's a good neutral palette. If you like really, really soft shadows, the Lorac shadows are really good, and they blend really well. At least in my experience with them. This is the Lorac Tale as Old as Time Beauty and the Beast palette. Oh. It looks like this. It's pretty neutral, a little bit of pink. Basically what I would expect, I guess, from a Beauty and the Beast themed palette. So the next palette that I'm going to show you is the Violet Voss Essentials palette. I believe I got this in a BoxyCharm. Just a really pretty, warm, neutral palette with a little bit of pop of color. It's a good palette. Yeah. And then I have the Essentials 2 by Violet Voss. I also got this in a BoxyCharm. Next palette I have is the Pastel Goth palette by KVD. I know a lot of people hated this. I love this one. This is one of my favorite Kat Von D palettes, and I know I've said that about all of them, but they're good palettes. I really have always enjoyed every look that I've ever done with this one. The next one I have is the Lolita palette by Kat Von D. I also have the Divine palette. Does that kind of look? Hold on. Look like me? Just a little. Just kidding. I don't look like that. This one I haven't used as much as some of my other Kat Von D palettes, but it's still really pretty. And then finally, I believe this is the last Kat Von D palette I have, KVD palette. This is the Shade and Light Eye palette. Now, this has been used to shreds. I mean, I've got major pan here. I've got major pan here. I've got pan here in the shade. Let's see, will it focus? Oh, there it is. You can kind of see it there. But yeah. I love this palette. I think it's a great basic neutral palette. I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Master Palette by Mario. Oops. This is stunning. I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Self-Made palette. And I don't know if you can tell, but I have used this. There's a big old divot in this shade, huge one in this shade, massive one in this shade, pan on this shade right here, pink champagne, completely gone. I loved this palette so much. I don't really use it anymore because it's pretty old, but it's a good palette. Every once in a while I'll dip back into it, but not super often. They don't make it anymore either. The next one I have is the Sultry palette by Anastasia. Can we talk about this packaging? Oh my god, it's beautiful. This is what it looks like. Right here. So pretty. Just another neutral palette. Here, let me turn down the lighting again. Let's see if that works. There we go. That's a little better. Oops. There we go. Really pretty palette. And then I have the Riviera palette, which I have used. All the rest of these, I want the packaging to stay nice, so I just keep them in their boxes, but I've used them. So this one is the Riviera palette. How stunning is this? Okay, the next one I have is the Norvina palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the pinky purple one. Really pretty. Obviously one of my favorites. Purple is my favorite color and my favorite eyeshadow color, so I use this one quite a bit. And I loved this one so much that I bought one for my best friend. And I believe she loves hers too, so. The next one I have to share with you is the Soft Glam palette. It's like a reddy, goldy, warm toned palette. I wish these would show up true to color, but it's kind of hard, and I'm working on my lighting and I'm trying to get the viewfinder right, so I'm having a little bit of a struggle today. And actually, earlier I wasn't struggling as much, but it is now almost midnight and I'm still filming, so I get a lot clumsier the later it gets. But I'm gonna get this done. We're gonna make it. The next one I have is the Modern Renaissance. This, I guess, is the one that started it all. I've used the heck out of this one too. I love Anastasia Beverly Hills. The formula of these palettes is so good. One of my favorites. Except for Subculture. I have not even used this. I bought it and I've swatched it, but I haven't actually used it. And I don't know if I should. I want to because I love this color story, but I'm very unsure of it. Because if you don't know, there were a lot of problems with this palette. I don't know. Okay, and then let's see. I'll start here. This one is the Cyber Goth palette by Hell Bites Beauty. And this is what it looks like. I've used it a little bit. I haven't used it a ton, so I need to keep trying it. Let me know if you would like a review on this. This is, Hell Bites Beauty is an indie brand, so I was really excited about this palette. My husband got it for me for Christmas. Next one I have is this Natasha Denona palette. It's a 5-pan palette. I got it in a BoxyCharm. I have not used it yet, but it is really pretty. Next up, the Smoke Sessions palette from Melt Cosmetics. Look at these beautiful greens. Oh, green is one of my other favorite colors. Isn't that pretty? Beautiful palette. I also have the Rust palette from Melt Cosmetics. Looks like this. Just like a brownie gold, warm brown gold palette. And then I have the Melt Cosmetics. This one is the Vita palette. There's two parts of this palette. There's another half, but I don't have the other half. Just the Vita palette. And I haven't used it yet. But oh my gosh, how pretty is that? That is so pretty. Let's do a close-up of this one. Oh my gosh, yes. I have a couple more from Melt. I have the Waiting Room palette, which is the Beetlejuice collection that they did. That was super limited edition. And then I also have the Recently Deceased palette from Melt Cosmetics and Beetlejuice. Okay, next one I have the ABH Norvina Mini Pro Pigment Palette Volume 3. One of my favorite mini palettes that I have. I also have the Huda Beauty Nude Light palette. Also another one of my favorites. I love this palette. I have the Viseart or Viseart. Let's see, which one is this? Neutral Matte Eyeshadow Palette. Neutral Matte. Yep, eyeshadow palette. Got this one in a BoxyCharm. These are like $80, so it's expensive. Okay. Next up, I have the Kylie Jenner Blue Honey palette. Just gonna run through these really fast. My battery's dying again. Sort of Sweet palette. Burgundy palette. Purple palette. And the Bronze palette. Let me change out my battery real quick. So this is my newest palette. This is the Glamlight Ice Cream Dream palette. It's what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I think it's stunning. Sorry, the wind is blowing really hard. How cute is this palette? Sorry, I'm really... It's late at night and I'm getting really clumsy. I'm struggling now. Sorry, hold on. There we go. I'm not kidding you, Glamlight has some of the yummiest shimmers I have ever tried. Here's just 3 of them. And I don't know how well they'll show up on my camera. But Aren't they so pretty? Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. Let's see. I can't wait to play with this more. I've only used it the one time today to do my eye makeup. But also these little sprinkles, they move. How fun. I'm sorry, Glamlight kills it. They kill it. They are so good. Okay, next up is I have all of my ColourPop palettes right here. So I'm just going to try and whip through them as fast as I can. ColourPop is one of my all-time favorite brands. They're incredibly affordable. You can shop them at colourpopcosmetics.com or you can get them at Ulta. A lot of the times they have stuff on sale. They have coupon codes. I seriously am so obsessed with especially the 9pan palette formula. They're monochromatic palettes. So good. Like, I cannot recommend ColourPop Cosmetics enough. They are my favorite. So I'm going to whip through these as fast as I can because we still have a handful more palettes to go. So this is the Frozen 2 palette, the Elsa one. This is the Frozen 2 Anna palette. This is the It's My Pleasure palette. This is the Lilac You A Lot palette. This is the Strawberry Shake palette. This is the Smoke Show. I think it's called something else, not Blowing Smoke is what it's called. Palette. Blowing Smoke. This is the Wine and Only palette. This is the Main Squeeze. This is the Orange You Glad. This is the Honey. This is the Aura and Out. This is the Just My Luck. This is the Mint to Be. And finally, this is the Blue Moon palette. I have a lot of the 9pan palettes from ColourPop, obviously. I just don't have them all. I'd love to one day own them all. That's a dream. That would be a dream of mine. But they're pretty affordable. I think they range from like $9 to $12 generally, and every now and again they'll have a couple of them on sale, which is when I like to stock up on them. You can also get them in bundles and stuff most of the time. Okay, this next pile is also more ColourPop. Like I said, they're my favorite. I think I have the most from them. So this is the ColourPop She's a Rainbow palette. These ones are cool because you can just pop them out. And actually their 9pan palettes are like this too. You can pop them out and switch the shades around. I think that that's cool. So you can kind of customize your own palettes. This is the Fade into Hue palette. How pretty is that? I love a rainbow palette. I just love makeup in general. Rainbow palettes and bright colors really have my heart though. I also have the Flutterby palette, which I'm also wearing a couple of these mattes on my eyes today, just in the outer portion of my eye, using this one and this one and this one. Oops, I just smacked my knuckle, that kind of hurt. Okay, the next one I have is the Gather Round Sisters Hocus Pocus palette. She is brand new to me, like very recent. Can we talk about how cute Sarah, Winifred, and Mary are though? This is, I remember growing up, my mom used to watch this with me and my sister every Halloween time. And this movie just brings back a lot of good memories for me. And so I'm a big Hocus Pocus fan. Not to be like jumping on the train of like it being popular now. I have always loved Hocus Pocus. It just is a feel-good movie for me, and it brings me a lot of comfort. So this is the Gather Round Sisters palette. I cannot wait to dive into this and do some fun looks with it. I'm so excited about it. It is beautiful and everything I want in a Hocus Pocus palette. And I know a lot of people were disappointed in it, but I think that the colors really match the characters and the colors in the movie. And I think it's perfect. This is the Mulan palette. Excuse me, I have the hiccups apparently. There's a couple of pressed glitters in there. Really pretty. I am excited to use this one too. I haven't quite yet. I think I've swatched a couple of the shades, but I'm excited to really get to use it. This is the Disney Designer Collection, or palette. Oh my goodness, this is a mess. I apologize. I use this one a lot, like all the time. Really pretty neutral palette with a little bit of color. The Midnight Masquerade palette. I also use this one a lot, and it is just, this one is also a mess. We're getting into like my most used palette territory here. This has like some of this green got in this glitter, and it's just, yeah, it's really pretty. I like this one a lot too. We also have the Misunderstood palette, which is also a mess. I like this. This is mostly shimmers. Beautiful. I have the At Forest Sight, which is in collaboration with Raw Beauty Christie. Oops. I have this glitter palette. I can't remember which one this one is, but this is my favorite glitter shade. It's called Hungry Ghost. It's like kind of like green, but when it's on the eyes, it's red. And it's also got like gold. Oh my gosh, it's very fiery. I love it. One of my favorites. Or maybe it is my favorite because I have multiple of these pans of Hungry Ghost. And then the one that started my obsession with ColourPop, the Element of Surprise. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and this is what turned me on to ColourPop. I love this palette a lot. I think it is a beautiful, beautiful palette. I know I've said beautiful, beautiful palette to all of the palettes, but there's beauty in all of these. Okay, so next up we have the ABH Norvina Pro Pigment Volume 2. This is what she looks like. I also have the ABH Norvina Pro Pigment Palette Volume 3. I'm missing 1 and 4. And I'm missing 2 of the minis, I think. I love this one. Oh my gosh. Next up, I have the Magic Mini by Juvia's Place. I have the Masquerade Mini by Juvia's Place. I have the Nubian by Juvia's Place. I have the Nubian 2 by Juvia's Place. I have the Fenty Beauty Moroccan Spice palette. There we go. It's not all washed out. Let me turn down my light again. There, hopefully that helps a little bit. There we go. I also have the Queen Lies in All of Us from Eloise. I have not tried this yet, but I got it in a BoxyCharm, and I am looking forward to trying this one. It's beautiful, and it's pinks and purples, which is my favorite. As I'm sure you've all quickly learned. Purple is my favorite. Okay. 2 more small piles and we are done. Okay, the next one I have is the Saharan palette from Juvia's. I have the Afrique by Juvia's. I have the Warrior 3 by Juvia's, which I just got this for Christmas. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to dip into this one. I have the Zulu by Juvia's. It looks like this. I love this palette. Isn't she pretty? I think she is so pretty. I have the Glamlight Street Taco palette. which again, Glamlight just kills it with the formula every single time. I have the Glamlight Pro, let's see, Paint Palette Pro. And I'm going to swatch some of these shimmers. Titanium White is everything. It's like a multi-chrome, I think. It shifts like green and gold, and then it also shifts pink and purple. And I don't know what you'll see on camera here, but oh my gosh. It is like seriously the prettiest. And then I'll do aqua. And then I'll do cobalt. How pretty is that? Oh my gosh, beautiful. Okay, this next one is just like a empty magnetic palette that has one blush from Ofra, one single shadow from Jeffree Star Cosmetics, and then all of these pressed glitters are from Dear Katie Brown. Let's see, get a little closer so you can really see those colors. Next up I have this Ofra Good to Go palette, I guess is what it's called. Got this in a BoxyCharm and I have not used it, but I love the idea of it. I have the Violet Voss Olive You Forever, which I also got in a BoxyCharm. In fact, I'm pretty sure the next three after this one I got all of them in a BoxyCharm. And this is what it looks like. I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't have more greens in it, but what can you do? It's still really pretty. I next have the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder, which was a BoxyCharm exclusive. This is what she looks like. Then I have the Illamasqua Unveiled Artistry palette. And then I have the Alamar Cosmetics Spanglish palette. And then last but not least, I have the Pure Raw Beauty Christie palette, which is super cool. So one side is a very bright, colorful side, and then the other side is like a neutral side. But yeah, it's two palettes in one, and it just flips. How neat is that? Oops. I think that's pretty neat. Alright, sorry about how chaotic this whole video has been, but that's my palette collection, with the exception of, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the Jeffree Star Cosmetics palette. You won't see me using his products on this channel, and if you do, I'm not gonna like link them or talk about them. It'll just be already on my face. But I just don't believe in wasting product like that, and the money's already spent, so it's already done. Anyways, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please, please, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure that you're subscribed to my channel because I'm going to be uploading hopefully at least once every other week, but my plan is to upload once a week. But it might take me a while to get going on the once a week. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you'll stick around and watch more of my videos in the future. Thanks guys, bye!